We are now talking to BetSperts Sports betting manager, Ryan Noonan. What's going on, Ryan?
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I love the vibes already, so I'm excited to talk some ball with you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, Speedy, it was his birthday last week. He's 27 years old.
Yes.
He's getting old. We need to get him a haircut. I mean, it looks like a grease ball on top.
We're going to go 2 weeks ago. We were going to go 2 weeks ago, and then I told you my grandfather got COVID, so I didn't want to go anywhere else.
Well, we got to get you a haircut this week, man. You definitely need one. But anyways, we're happy to have you. Who do we have from Daigle, right? We had Daigle?
Yeah, John Daigle, yes.
We had John Daigle.
We've had about 3 times.
He's awesome. He really is. You got a good guy over there with Mr. Daigle. So let's get into it. How did you become the manager of BetSperts Sports? How did you get involved with the company, and obviously how far has BetSperts gone since you've taken over?
It's a great question. I originally was with 4for4. 4for4 is OG in the space. It's been around for a very long time. My co-host Connor Allen and I have started Move the Line. I think this is our 5th year doing Move the Line. Came over to the 4for4 group 3 years ago, and BetSperts actually acquired. They're our parent company. They bought 4for4 last year, along with a few other acquisitions in the space, Dynasty League Football, Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life app. Matthew's still a part of that. Good to see Matthew tonight on the prime time on doing sideline stuff for NBC, which is awesome to see. And then, BetSperts is just kind of basically throwing money on the fire here. BetSperts itself is now has a homepage. It's just been kind of like an app for the last handful of years where you can basically track your bets, tail bets, things of that nature. So now we basically are creating a network of sports betting that can basically subsidize you all year round outside of the football thing. So whereas 4for4, I came on, we were just football, and my goal was to bring other sports. So we launched the sports betting side of it. So we started to do basically every other sport and get in there as well. So in the NBA, MMA, NASCAR, F1, you name it, we're trying to basically wet your whistle all year round over at 4for4.
By the way, I nailed every single match in the UFC this past weekend. So just
nice.
So you know, I know all sports. I follow MMA because I fought, and I know a lot of MMA, UFC fighters, and boxed. I boxed for many, many years. I have a lot of guys that are so knowledgeable in boxing as well. But we do a show called Moneyline Mania on our Weekend Crunch show on 103.9 FM. And these guys are the best handicappers in the country. I would love to link them up with you guys. You guys would have a lot of fun with them. They're really, really good. And some of the best handicappers in the country. No lie on that.
Yeah, we actually, so we had a guy who actually, this is a great advice for anyone who's looking to get into the space. We had a guy who just kind of showed up in our Discord. Subscriber Discords nowadays are a huge value add because not only, do you have access to folks like me that contribute to the site, but you get access to other smart people, like-minded folks that are just in there sharing ideas. And we had a guy who just was basically capping every sport, sharing picks, and just went on this absolute heater on the NBA side. So we got to talking, said, hey, is there any way that we can maybe find a way for you to, monetize your sharp picks? And he had a passion for MMA. We brought him on. Turns out he's a great writer. We started with him, and then we actually got another guy, Scott Smith, who's been in the space for years, Action Network, one of the top mock drafters in the space. Scott actually owns a bunch of gyms, training gyms and facilities down in the Southeast. So he knows similar, sounds like to you, lots of trainers, lots of fighters, and has lots of connections in the space. So Scott's basically taking us to the next level on the MMA side too. So yeah, always looking to hear of new people that, remember being in the space and trying to get up to a spot where I can make some money too. So anytime we can help others get to where they want to be, a lot of talented, smart people out there.
Absolutely.
So always have a willing ear.
You mentioned Connor Allen, too. We actually had him on the show about a month ago as well.
Yes, we did. Connor's a funny guy, too.
Yes. All right, so my question is, because we've had John Daigle on the show 3 times, what is your best John Daigle story?
Oh, man. Best John Daigle story. Daigle's an interesting cat. We actually, all 3 of us live here in the Chicago area, too. So we're actually, the cool part is, Move the Line is the show that Connor and I have done for 5 years now, and then we just brought Daigle on as the permanent third. So instead of having him on as a guest all the time, now that he's in the fold permanently at 4for4, as you guys know, booking guests can be a challenge.
Yep.
You can have someone that can fit the role and be a permanent. That's a good role that slides right in. Daigle stories. Man, he loves to do the worm at weddings.
Interesting.
Big worm guy.
Interesting.
Actually, Connor is on a honeymoon right now. He's out in Portugal and Spain with his lovely bride.
Look at
Got
him.
married a couple weeks ago, and Daigle I think he's trying to make it a thing where basically he goes to different weddings in different states.
Oh,
and
stop!
does
Daigle jumped into his, his pack back. He's traveling with him and his wife, him and Connor.
Wait,
Yeah.
Ryan, are you saying that John Daigle is doing his own wedding crashers?
If anyone of my friends would do that, it would be John Daigle. He has crashed on the couch on the other side of here multiple evenings on his journeys over the years. But yeah, this is one of his. Now he's here permanently. But while he didn't have a home in Chicago,
but we all know why he's there permanently. He has a new girl, and I remember him having a conversation with us, and he's telling me, I was like, "Why did you move to Chicago, Mr. Daigle?" And he says, "Well, a woman." Are you married? He says, "No."
That'll do it. Part of why I'm stuck here in Chicago too, fellas. So
there you go.
I grew up actually in where Speedy looks like he's at Fenway. I'm a New Englander myself originally. Now I'm in Chicago, but I much rather be back with my massholes.
Massholes. That's pretty good. Oh man, there he goes. He's a Boston fan. They'll love you already, man. We have a lot of Boston fans that watch this show, and they can't stand us. That's why they listen to us.
my brother actually goes to school in Boston right now, and one just graduated. So
there you
now
go.
Works
Nice.
there.
Mass holes. I like that.
Well, I'm from New Hampshire, so that's what it was. When you're away and you're out, so you call it New England. But when you're in New England, there definitely is separation and divide. So I was very close to the Massachusetts border and seacoast of New Hampshire, and we would have the massholes would come up to get no tax up in New Hampshire. They buy their booze on Sundays because everything's closed in Massachusetts a little bit earlier. So yeah, it's a term of endearment that we can call. It's like one of those things where like you could beat up on your brother or your sister, but if someone else messes with them, you start to puff your chest a little bit. So it's a term of endearment.
I've actually seen the Seacoast the semi-pro soccer team, Seacoast United or whatever it's called. I've actually seen the outside of their facility because my brother had a volleyball tournament right around there, and I actually recognized them because I broadcasted the AC Connecticut when I was in college, so I knew about them.
Yeah, you know what I would like to do? I would like to tape Speedy to a wall and pin the tail on a donkey.
Oh my God, you're going back to this again?
We are talking to BetSperts sports betting manager Ryan Noonan. So why don't we get into some football conversation, because we just got off with Brandon Walker, who was fantastic. He gave us a good insight. But your insight with betting. In the AFC East, a lot of people have Buffalo winning the AFC East with no problem. Do you see that as a guarantee going into the season with Josh Allen getting what he wanted? A lot of people getting what everybody wanted after that playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs and losing the way they did. He didn't get a chance in the overtime to throw the ball. Do you think this is Josh Allen's year to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I get why everyone's bullish on him for sure. And I do think that they are the class of the division. I think that, there are some improvements that people want to talk about on the Miami side. People want to talk about the Jets being better. I guess I'm sure we can get to that. But there's a lot to like with Buffalo, obviously. The schedule is going to be a little harder than it was last year. They do have the largest rest advantage in the league, which is nice. You got to find any type of little edge that you can. They have on the course of the season, they have a 13-day rest advantage against their opponents, which is by far the largest in the league. They're favored in 15 to 17 games. The only two that they're not is that home opener or that opener against the Rams. And that's actually even shifting a little bit towards the Bills. The other one is at Kansas City. We've seen them over the years. Obviously, we all think about the playoff game that we saw last, but they won at Kansas City the last 2 years during the regular season. So that's not a place that they're afraid to go to. The other interesting thing, too, is they were 0-5 in one-score games last season. You just don't see that very often with really good teams. They typically close that out. And we just know historically over the course of time that the one-score game thing kind of regresses to the norm. So even if they go 2-3, 3-2 in that situation, again, they had exceeded and would have gone over their win total last year. Maybe they're hosting that game instead of going on the road. Those things change very differently. And then obviously the additions that they've made were very nice. I think the secondary gets a boost with how they addressed it with the draft, with Elam there. Hopefully Tre'Davious White comes back earlier than often or than expected. And then obviously we have Von Miller coming in. And again, if he could just be a situational pass rusher for them, this is a whole nother level for this team. So yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, I don't think they miss a step with Brian Daboll being gone. Ken Dorsey's been there for years. I imagine they still continue to be heavy from a pass rate over expectation standpoint. So I do think they're by far better than every other team in that division.
They also got Joe Brady too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Brady, everyone was dying to give Joe Brady a coaching job. It seemed like for a little bit. And then, he was cut and then just set out there to die for a little bit. Yeah. But they brought him in to be the QB coach. Obviously that's not a bad thing either. It's a young guy that still, I think, is on an upward path.
Oh, stop. Carolina gave up on him. So now everybody.
Yeah, right. I mean,
now Carolina has Ben
right?
McAdoo.
I like Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, you're one of the few.
I like Ben.
I like Ben McAdoo too.
All right, fine, Ryan.
There we go.
All right. You and Errol could join an exclusive
Ryan,
club.
Yes. I like Ben.
Ben McAdoo had the stones to know that Eli was fucking washed and they needed to move on. And no one wanted to do it. He was kind of a little bit more progressive from like a pass rate standpoint.
Yes.
He was more aggressive on fourth down. He wanted to be that. So I think I don't know. I like that he is there. I think that's encouraging. Again, Matt Rule didn't want to mess with the up and coming guy, knowing that he's fighting for his job, fires him because they didn't run the football enough. Like, is this 1992? Like, you need to pass the football. It's your fault that you don't have the weapons to do so. They actually had the weapons. They just didn't have the quarterback to do so. Or
they don't have the coach. Okay, because Matt Rule's an idiot.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, Brady shouldn't have lost his job. Matt Rule should have lost his job. But Brady's now over there in Buffalo. Good luck for him. I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference, but him getting a job, everybody was talking about like his first year with Matt Rule. This guy's the next up and coming big time head coach, and then all of a sudden, a bad year, he gets fired.